Did you know the VA provides veterans with some of the best education benefits around?
This is one of the VA benefits we will be discussing today. We will also be examining the historic Battle of Guadalcanal, and as a veteran, you have nationwide access to the benefits of the Vet Center.
These are only some of the topics we will be covering, so stick around. It's time for the Sit Rep.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Sit Rep. Unfortunately, they seemingly are digging a hole to China outside the building. So if you hear a bunch of beeping and buzzing and all that kind of stuff, that's what that's from. There's no way that we can get around that. But welcome to another episode. I am Marine Corps veteran Paul Corbett.
And I am Army veteran Mike McNamara. Many veterans worry about making a living after they leave the service.
That's exactly right, Mike. And education is a key component of ensuring that veterans get into a career field that matches with what they're capable of and what they're passionate about.
The GI Bill and vocational rehabilitation can provide that direction. Here is a short segment from an interview between Paul and Michaela Black from the Veterans Benefits Administration on how the GI Bill and vocational rehabilitation work.
The option that most people are aware of is the GI Bill.
Right.
That's something that everybody hears about when, they're in DOD, and something that they've potentially contributed to or for. So what is the difference between the GI Bill and VR&E?
Yeah. So GI Bill is an earned education benefit. And there's more than one GI Bill, which is also not very well known. The most common one we'll see used is post 9/11 GI Bill. So if you served active duty time after September 2001, you have accrued entitlement, qualifying time toward post 9/11. So you apply, you get your certificate of eligibility, and it basically says, here's your 36 months of education benefits. Go use it as you wish, which is great because you can sort of decide where you want to go, decide what you want to major in. You can change your major 3 or 4 times if you want. Where Voc Rehab is much more structured. The biggest difference right out of the gates is that it's not just an education benefit based on service time. It's actually based on your service-connected disability, and not just that. So even to apply, you have to have a VA service-connected disability, 10% or above. And then they bring you in and they're looking at barriers to employment. So not everyone is just going to be entitled to Voc Rehab. The example that I usually give during my outreach events is kind of 2 bookends. If you have a service member who's 10% service-connected, or a veteran 10% service-connected for a knee injury, let's say, and they have a GED and they are working as a roofer, that job is significantly aggravating their knee injury.
I would say, yeah.
Right. So, but what are they going to do, right? They have limited education. They're probably making okay money. They're not really sure what else they can do. Although they're only 10%, which seems like a low rating, that veteran is going to be qualified for Voc Rehab because there's significant barriers to gainful employment. Now, on the other bookend, you could have a service member who is 90% service-connected. Maybe she has a traumatic brain injury, PTSD, multiple sclerosis, really serious medical conditions, right? But if she has a master's in accounting and a pretty good job, making decent money, and the employer accommodates all the issues surrounding the disability, although 90% is a high rating, they're actually not going to be entitled to Voc Rehab because there's no barriers to employment. Now, if that were to change, if suddenly the symptoms were exacerbated and they needed to, find different work, then she would be able to apply for Voc Rehab. Now, most vets are going to fall somewhere in the middle, 30, 40, 50% service-connected for a variety of mental health and physical conditions. Some may have some education. They may choose to use their GI Bill first and then move over to Voc Rehab. Maybe they weren't service-connected when they first got out, so they did an associate's degree with their GI Bill. So it's hard in the sense that Voc Rehab is very individualized. It's sometimes hard to explain what is the entitlement criteria? Who's entitled? What kind of education can you get? Because when you sit down with the Voc Rehab counselor, they're specifically saying, Paul, what's your story? What are you service connected for? What's your level of education? Where have you worked? What area do you live in? What kind of jobs are you interested in? It's very much tailored to the veteran. Some other things that are different, which are great, is that it gives a total of 48 months of benefits versus 36. So it gives a little bit more time to complete a degree. The idea being that some vets have pretty serious limitations that could prevent them from moving through a program quickly, or they may have some rough semesters. So it gives them a little more time to complete the degree. And then you have a voc rehab counselor who's working with you the entire time that you're in the program, which provides that support. You know, if you're struggling in school, if you need a tutor, there's someone there that can help you through the program so that you finish and do the employment piece so that you're kind of going through the whole thing from start to finish. Now, we hope our GI Bill vets are also focusing on employment as a means to, you know, going to school toward employment. But there isn't actually a criteria tied to that. So a GI Bill vet could use their 36 months and not end up with a degree. And that's their choice. It's their benefits. They did what they want with that. Where voc rehab is specifically saying in the beginning, what is your career goal? Let's map out a plan to get you there from A to Z.
So, Paul, from your conversation with Michaela, what is the one thing that veterans should understand about the GI Bill and vocational rehabilitation?
Well, the GI Bill, as Michaela said, the GI Bill and vocational rehabilitation are two very different things. I mean, you could do similar things with them, but the way that they work is very, very different. For instance, the GI Bill, I could decide that I want to go to a technical school for basket weaving. And as long as they're accredited and everything else, I can apply, get into the school, utilize my GI Bill, and I can use those benefits until they run out. With vocational rehabilitation, though, vocational rehabilitation is designed to assist veterans who are in a career field that maybe aggravates their disability.
Okay.
So they have some type of percentage of disability through the VA already, and say maybe they're a police officer. And they have been for a while, and their back has just been getting worse and worse and worse, which they already have a connection for. And so they can apply to vocational rehabilitation and say, hey, look, you know, my job, wearing a vest and, you know, all this stuff is really hurting my back and it's causing more aggravation to my hips and other stuff. And I'm thinking that maybe I need to change direction. And vocational rehabilitation can help them do that. You'll go in, at least from my experience, because I've used both the GI Bill and voc rehab. I went in and I took a couple of tests to see what kind of things I'm really good at and what things I have a better aptitude for, because it's all about success.
Right.
They don't want to just put you in school and, you know, you waste your time
Right.
and all that stuff. So they see what your aptitudes are and all that, and they come up with an actual plan, start to finish, everything. And then they take into consideration, you know, how much is your books. They'll take care of your books. You need a computer. They'll take care of a computer for you. You need a printer. If you're going to school to become a mechanic, they'll buy you all your tools that you need. If you're going in for photography, they'll buy you the camera, the lenses. I mean, it's all encompassing. And not only that, but once you get done, you know, you get done with the GI Bill, that's it. Boom, payment stop. But with voc rehab, they continue paying you for additional 3 months. Because you're supposed to be looking for a job.
Right. You're supposed to be out there. Yeah.
And they don't want to just leave you high and dry. So the both of them they're both awesome programs. And depending on what you're looking to do or accomplish, one may be better for you than the other one is. The only advantage that I understand, or the large difference with the GI Bill and voc rehab, is that GI Bill, if you're still you have to still be a current serving service member in the military, but you have the option to be able to transfer it to another family member. So, you know, if you're retiring from the service and you're like, I don't really need to go to school and, you know, I'm just going to go and get a job that is fun for me. I'm not really worried about trying to become a CEO or something like that. So you don't really need that master's degree or that doctorate to move forward in life. Then you could transfer it to a family member, whether it's a spouse or a daughter or a son or something like that. So both of the programs are awesome programs. And another example, almost forgot, a long time ago, I think it was back in February, John Parody, our colleague, had done an interview with Jared Famison, who is an Army veteran. He lives in the state of New Hampshire, and he was able to use his GI Bill for on-the-job training. So he works in he got out of the military. He's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And ended up getting a job with an HVAC company who they worked together to set up a on-the-job apprenticeship program that through VBA And so he was able to collect the paycheck and the GI Bill at the same time because he was training on the job.
Right.
So that's, there's a lot of different ways that veterans can look at utilizing education benefits. You don't necessarily have to go to a university or a college. You might want to go to flight school. You might want to go for on-the-job training for some type of trade. You have a lot of different options to look at.
That's a really good point because, like you said earlier, so many of our service members now are already educated.
Yes.
A lot of people are coming into the military already with bachelor's or even master's or accomplishing that while they're in the service.
Right.
So you're right. Okay, what do I do with my GI Bill? I've already got, my bachelor's or, my master's. As you just said, now you may be able to apply it to something else like flight school or something along those lines that you maybe didn't think of. That's a great point.
Yeah, but it's something that with Voc Rehab, you can go in there, give them a call. I mean, with what's going on right now, who knows? But from my experience in the past, call them up, say, hey, I'd really like to come in and talk to someone, see what my options are and everything else. Just because you go in there, they're not like car salesmen. They're not going to try and, hook you line and sinker or anything like that. They just want to make sure that you're using all the benefits that are afforded to you through your service to our country. And yeah, it's just a fantastic program. I couldn't say anything negative about it whatsoever.
If you're interested in hearing more about the GI Bill or vocational rehabilitation, search #TheSitRep on YouTube.
And for those of you in the audience that are interested in seeing John Parody's interview with Army veteran Jared Famison with regard to how he used the GI Bill for on-the-job training, you can search #VA New England on YouTube and scroll all the way to the bottom of the list because I believe it's the first actual podcast that we did. When we come back, we will be discussing with Mike, our history major, about the Battle of Guadalcanal and why it was so impactful during World War II.
What does the acronym MASH stand for? A, Military Aid Support. B, Military Assistance Support Headquarters. C, Marine Aid Support Housing. Or D, Mobile Army Surgical Hospital. The answer when we return. What does the acronym MASH stand for? The answer is D, Mobile Army Surgical Hospital. The Mobile Army Surgical Hospital, or MASH, refers to a United States Army medical unit. MASH units were designed as mobile, flexible, forward-deployed military hospitals providing care for the wounded in a combat area of operations. The units were first established in August 1945 and functioned through the war with Iraq.
Welcome back. This month marks the 78th anniversary of the Battle of Guadalcanal. It is a pivotal battle during World War II. And Mike, what exactly happened at Guadalcanal?
Well, I mean, Guadalcanal was significant for a number of reasons. But, basically the background was we had won the Battle of Midway. If you remember, we discussed that previously back in June. So we had stopped the Japanese trying to capture Midway. Later on that spring into the early summer of July 1942, intelligence is able to tell the United States that the Japanese are building a major airfield on the island of Guadalcanal, which is down in the Southwest Pacific and the Solomon Island chain. And that was significant for the mere point that would put our supply lines between the United States and Australia within range of Japanese aircraft. So the Japanese could stop us trying to send equipment, reinforcements, that kind of stuff down to Australia. So it was decided that, we had to do something about that. So we on August 7th, we launched Operation Watchtower, which was the invasion of Guadalcanal. It was the 1st Marine Division. Basically went ashore. The objective was first to secure the airfield, which they did the next day on the 8th of August. And then at that point, just kind of put up a perimeter around the airfield and get the airfield working so we could put our own air power there and start to dominate the region. The Japanese were taken totally by surprise. They just did not think we had the capability to do this. And they were very slow to respond. They only really had combat engineers on the island, and some pressed Korean laborers. That's about all that was on the island. So they retreated way back into the interior, and really at first there was really nothing of significance going on. However, on the night of August 8th, the Japanese finally start to respond, and they send a major naval unit south from their big base up in Rabaul to try to disrupt the landing and what's going on and bombard the Marines and things like that.
And so in comparison, I mean, the unit that the Japanese were sending down, what was the scale of that in comparison to the American fighting force that was there?
So they were about equal. The Japanese sent a surface fleet of heavy cruisers and destroyers south, like I said, to try to interdict the landings and disrupt the landings. We had a similar naval force made up of 5 heavy cruisers and a bunch of destroyers that were patrolling around Guadalcanal just in case of that happening. The two forces meet in the middle of the night, and it becomes very, very apparent very quickly that the Japanese are far better trained at night combat than the American Navy is. And the Japanese end up inflicting tremendous losses on the U.S. Navy in the Battle of Savo Island. It was the worst defeat ever suffered by the United States Navy in its history. They lost 4 heavy cruisers, and they also, with another heavy cruiser damaged and a bunch of destroyers damaged, and really inflicted no damage at all on the Japanese. Luckily, though, the Japanese commander was worried because it was getting close to dawn, and he didn't have any air cover. So he decided to retreat back north before American airplanes could come after him. And that was very fortunate for us, for the United States, because he could have easily gotten into the landing area where all the transport ships and stuff were offloading supplies and really caused havoc. As it was, though, the Americans decide that with the big losses they've just suffered, they can no longer defend the beachhead adequately. So they basically pack up and all the ships leave. And the Marines are left on Guadalcanal with whatever they brought ashore. Now they're able to, with captured Japanese food supplies and what they brought with them, they're able to salvage about 2 weeks worth of food. And that's basically going down to about 1 to 2 meals a day. But the main problem is all their heavy equipment, most of their artillery, a lot of their ammunition sails away, and they're basically left on the island to keep the island secure while the Navy tries to regroup. The engineers, the Marine Corps engineers and naval engineers, the Seabees, they actually use the Japanese engineering equipment to finish the airstrip. So they use the Japanese bulldozers and all. It's funny. I mean, there's pictures of them driving around in these little Japanese, bulldozers and graders and all that stuff. But they finished the airfield, and the airfield's done by the 18th of August, and we're able to start putting airplanes on the airfield, within 10 days of the invasion.
I mean, well, you still have all these Japanese engineers and...
They're still hiding out. But at the same time now, the Japanese have started to respond. And they're starting to send a lot of reinforcements south. And the first Japanese Army infantry units begin to land on Guadalcanal on the night of the 18th and into the 19th. And now they start to move south in order to recapture the airfield and throw the Americans off Guadalcanal. Now, I would tell you the Japanese felt they would be successful very, very easily. And you can't blame them in the sense that up until this point of the war, the Japanese had everything their own way. They had beaten the British, they had beaten the Dutch, they obviously had beaten the Americans. I mean, they captured the Philippines and, almost 100,000 guys between the Filipino army and the American army that was there. So, I mean, nobody had been able to touch the Japanese for over 6 months. They had done what they wanted. So they felt, we'll land on Guadalcanal and we'll recapture it, and that'll be that. What they didn't figure on, though, was, and what they hadn't really fought yet, was a well-equipped, well-trained, very well-motivated Marine Corps division. And they come up against the 1st Marine Division in a number of assaults that they launch over the next couple of months. There's actually 3 major land battles between September and November where the Japanese just continuously flood reinforcements into the island to try to achieve their goal of recapturing Guadalcanal, and they're never successful. I mean, the Marines beat them back time after time after time. The Battle of Merritt Ridge and Alligator Creek, and these are all historical in the lore of the 1st Marine Division. And then eventually the Navy's able to come back, and they win a couple of naval battles. And by December of 1942, the Japanese have decided that this is outside of the realm of possibility, and they begin to withdraw from Guadalcanal. And by February, they've withdrawn their forces off Guadalcanal. We've secured the island, and we can declare victory.
And so, real quick for the audience, I mean, is the victory at Guadalcanal, what does that mean for America, and what does that mean for the battle in the Pacific?
Guadalcanal was really, really significant for a number of reasons. The first one I've already kind of discussed, and this was the first time in World War II that the United States had simultaneously defeated the Japanese land, air, and naval forces. We had won the Battle of Midway earlier, and that was a naval battle, but now we actually won on land. We won in the air, over Guadalcanal. There was massive air battles for months over Guadalcanal. And then the Navy had come back in more strength and ended up defeating the Japanese Navy in and around the island. So it was a real boost in morale for the United States. It was the first time we had stopped the Japanese cold and defeated all their forces simultaneously. The second significant piece of it is that, and like I said earlier, the Battle of Midway, which was the previous June, really allows the United States to capture the initiative. The Japanese never again launch a major offensive in the Pacific. The strategic initiative totally lies with the United States, and we are able basically to do what we want all the way from Guadalcanal to Tokyo Bay when we, in September 45, when we finally declare victory. The last major piece of why Guadalcanal was so significant was the Allies as a whole, Great Britain, the United States, Soviet Union, had decided that Germany and Hitler were the biggest opponents. They were the scariest and probably the biggest threat to world peace. So it had been decided that Europe first would be the philosophy, that we would pour most of our resources into the fight in Europe to stop Hitler, and that we would basically fight a defensive war in the Pacific. And then once Hitler was done, once we had defeated him, then we would shift and take out and take care of the Japanese. Well, Guadalcanal showed that the United States Navy, in conjunction with the Marine Corps and some Army units that were with MacArthur in Australia, that they could fight an offensive war simultaneously in the Pacific. That with a little bit of resources, they could continue operations in the Pacific. And that convinced President Roosevelt that was possible. And then he gave his blessing to the Joint Chiefs that, yes, let's go ahead and simultaneously take on Hitler in Europe and beat back the Japanese in the Pacific. So that was pivotal. Because like I said, the plan all along was we thought the war with Japan would go well into the late 1940s because we would have to take care of Germany first and then come back and take on Japan. But the Battle of Guadalcanal, in conjunction with the earlier Battle of Midway, showed that we didn't need to do that. We could now take the offensive in the Pacific. And it also laid the groundwork now for what would become the best in the history of warfare, the best amphibious, the best amphibious capability in the world would lie with the United States now. Between the Navy and the Marine Corps, and then the Navy and the Army in Southwest Pacific, no nation could ever touch what we were capable of doing. Showing up on your doorstep and throwing a major land component onto the island, fully supported with air power, Navy power, and ready with hospital ships and just, all kinds of freighters full of ammunition and reinforcements. No other nation was capable of doing that like the United States was, and Guadalcanal was the start of all that.
Yeah, it was a hell of a time to be in the military. But anyway, Mike, thanks for sharing all that. And when we come back, we will be discussing the benefits of VA's vet centers.
What is the oldest American military uniform item still in continuous use? Is it A, General Officer's Stars, B, the Army Infantry Crossed Rifles insignia, C, gold buttons on the Marine Corps dress blues, D, the Navy dungaree uniform pants, or E, the Army Overseas cap? The answer when we return. What is the oldest American military uniform item still in continuous use? The answer is C, the gold buttons on the Marine Corps dress blues. The gold buttons worn on the U.S. Marine Corps' dress blue coat feature the eagle and anchor with an arc of 13 stars. The buttons have been part of the Marine Corps dress blue uniform since 1804, making them the oldest military insignia in continued use by any branch of the United States military.
Welcome back to the Sit Rep. Recently, Mike had the opportunity to speak with Greg Matos, who is the director of the Boston Vet Center. They discussed exactly what a vet center is and what they offer our American heroes. Take a look.
What is a vet center? So, I mean, we throw that term around a lot. You know, we're very familiar with it, but there's people out there that don't understand the differentiation between VA, vet center. So go ahead and tell us exactly what it is.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this through the lens of what I think in 1979, when the Vet Center program was initially established. I want to talk about the Vet Center and through the lens of a Vietnam veteran coming back from that war and really coming back to their community. So maybe it's Boston, maybe it's all over the country, and really having the question, who can I turn to and trust? Where is there a place that I could feel safe? Where can I figure out who I am now after having gone through that experience?
Right.
And what's next? And so the Vet Center is that place in Boston and across the country. We're not at a VA, right? We love the VA. We love the VA. We're part of the VA team.
You're part of the VA team.
We're all
right.
on the same team. We're all on the same team. And we all have the same mission. But at vet centers, we're really focused on providing that place where anyone, back in 1979 to today, we're those people, we're your people, we're the people you can trust, we're the place that feels safe. And there's such a plethora of things that we're aspiring to do to serve our fellow veterans and their families that sometimes it's hard to define what a vet center is, because it's just so much that we actually do and so many people that we actually serve.
So kind of go into that a little bit. So you're right. So, okay, so a vet center's there for veterans, and you're right. They're all over the country. You know, every state has at least one vet center. Obviously, many states have multiple vet centers,
Yes.
depending on the size of the state and the size of the communities. But what can a vet expect? So, you know, I'm interested. I'm a veteran.
Yes.
I've heard of it, but I don't really know. Do I need mental health counseling? Is that all they do?
Yeah.
What can I anticipate?
Yeah. Listen, and I'm talking from my heart right now. And the beautiful thing about the other 300 vet center directors like me across the country and the teams that they lead, those expert counselors and psychologists and social workers and marriage and family therapists, those teams all across the country, we're really dedicated to that veteran. You, me, your team in this room right now, you initially, from the very beginning, Mike, from the very beginning, you're still on active duty, you're still in uniform, you just got back from a combat deployment, or you're experiencing military sexual trauma. So that's sexual assault or that's chronic sexual harassment. You're still in uniform. We want to meet you. We want you to come into the vet center. We want you to step in. We want to help you make sense of those hard memories. We want you to navigate adjustment to that at the very beginning, let alone when you transition off of active duty orders.
So I think that's an important point you're
Yeah.
bringing up, and that is it's not just veterans.
No.
You're actively serving,
Yes.
active duty, reserves, guard. I mean, if somebody's on duty currently
Yeah.
and having an issue, they can turn to the vet center.
Listen, Mike, we want them to turn to the vet center.
Okay.
We want them to have the sense that they can pick up the phone, because it's reality. This is the truth. Where are the people they can turn to? Coming off a combat deployment, experiencing military sexual trauma, even when they're still on active duty. And I experienced this when I was on active duty myself in the Navy as a lieutenant at that time, connecting folks to vet centers near Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. So we want them to be able to walk in. So readjustment counseling is the primary thing that we're dedicating a lot of our energy to. Why do we dedicate so much energy to readjustment counseling? That's the kind of mental health stuff that you're talking about right now. It's because we understand on a deep visceral level, 70% of vet centers are combat veterans. The director, the team members, the outreach specialists, a combat vet, administrative staff. So we get some aspect of what it means to serve in uniform. We're not going to understand everything, right? You and I could be in the same exact experience, right? And have completely unique experiences. And so we want people to understand active duty after you get out. If you're an eligible veteran, and I've described a little bit of that eligibility so far, if you're a service member, if you are a National Guard or Reserve component, having been on active orders, serving in that capacity, and all of their family members.
That's key. I mean, because
Listen.
obviously at the VA, you can't bring, your family doesn't get the same services, if any services.
It's challenging.
It's a little bit more challenging for the veteran. The services are set up for the veteran.
Yeah.
That's not so at the vet center.
No, I'm so excited about this, because I recognize, as do you and everybody else who may be listening and watching this right now, that military service impacts the service member. It impacts anyone they love in and around them, and it ripples out into the community. So being a local vet center, 300 of us, and 83 mobile vet centers and community access points all across the nation, being able to provide them an opportunity to kind of understand these things, work through these experiences, and get that readjustment counseling. Listen, we're focused on, again, I'm mentioning working through hard memories, making sense of that, making sense of your service in and around that, working with couples and families through transition points. If you've never had a kid before and you're expecting to have a kid, hey, that's a great time to reach out to your local vet center. Connect, bring your partner, come talk about what your expectations are about that next transition. So I think one thing that people don't understand is actually for the rest of your life. This is in 1983. This became a permanent benefit. So the year I was born, this became a permanent benefit. It was initially temporary. In 1979, they set up these 80 vet centers. So let's see what happens with this, right? But you can recognize how much power there is in what we've been doing for the last over 40 years because of the impact we've made. We can help these couples. We can help families. And we can work with and walk beside family members who have lost a loved one in service to our country. So that's our primary mission when it comes to readjustment counseling. And that is where a majority of our energy goes at the local vet center level. That's not all we do.
So, Mike, from your discussion with Greg, what was the main takeaway? And on top of that, I mean, was there anything that really surprised you that you didn't even know about vet centers?
There were two things that were big takeaways for me that I think are really important. The first one was the confidentiality factor at the vet centers. While the vet centers are tied to the VA, they don't report to the VA. And what I mean by that is any veteran who goes to a vet center and seeks counseling services, those records are not shared with the VA. Those records are confidentially kept at the vet center, period.
Like totally air-gapped.
Totally air-gapped. There's nobody can get their hands on those records. So I think that's important for those folks that may be still serving in the National Guard or Reserves or what have you, in the sense of you can get counseling at a vet center, and there's no chance, unless you wish it, that your command will ever find out. Same if you're a police officer or whatever, and you want to get some counseling for some PTSD issues. The vet center's not going to jump on the phone and call your city or town and say, hey, you have a cop named so-and-so, he's coming here for this, or she's coming here for this. That's not going to happen. The other thing I thought was really neat that the vet centers do that VA hospitals or VA counseling cannot do, and that is family counseling. And not just about PTSD issues that the service member may be having, but about a lot of life issues. And that really surprised me. I didn't know that. So let's say, my wife and I are getting ready to expect our first child, and we're worried, how is that going to change our dynamic as a couple, the dynamic in the household? We can seek counseling as a couple at the vet center and just have a discussion, with the trained vet center personnel about those life issues. Same thing, marriage counseling. Say, we're just having some issues. We can go in for marriage counseling at the vet center. So they offer a lot of services that the VA hospitals do not, and they offer them away from the VA hospitals, and so that they're 100% confidential. People aren't going to, see you coming in or out or those kind of things that sometimes folks have concerns with when they're seeking mental health counseling or mental health help from the VA.
Now, like big VA is doing, they're doing telemedicine and all that stuff.
They are.
Are the vet centers doing that?
They are. The vet centers are also offering video services, telehealth services, but the vet centers are open. If somebody just really wants to come into the vet center and talk to somebody, as of right now, the vet centers are open and operating.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's a lot of good services. I've used them in the past, and they've been great to me. I would go to them. I always suggest to all my friends, if you need to go somewhere, go to the vet center. They're fantastic.
Right. That's what they're there for.
And then on top of that, some of them also do like some recreational stuff. Like I know there's one that's down the street from me, and they have like fly fishing, and they have like canoe trips that, all the guys will go on that are in a group together,
right?
Do group therapy or something. They'll all go on canoe trips together and stuff like that.
Greg made that point. He wanted to ensure that everybody understood it. It's not just a counseling center. It's a veterans center. So they do a lot of potlucks, big Christmas parties, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot, if you don't feel you need counseling, that's not what you're there for. As you said, there's plenty of other things you can go to the vet center and become involved in with other veterans that above and beyond some counseling services that you may or may not need.
That's pretty awesome, and good interview, by the way, with Greg. For all of you out in the audience, if you're interested in seeing the complete interview that Mike had with Greg, you can do so by searching #TheSitRep on YouTube. And when we come back, we will be celebrating the birthdays of some of our nation's heroes.
The World War II acronym WASP stood for A, Widgets, Alcohol, and Sundries Procurement, B, Warehouse Ammunition Supply Procedures, C, Women Air Force Service Pilots, or D, Wartime Advanced Supply Party. The answer when we come back. The World War II acronym WASP stood for Women Air Force Service Pilots. The Women Air Force Service Pilots were a civilian women's pilots organization whose members were United States Civil Service employees. Members of WASP were trained pilots who tested aircraft, ferried aircraft, and trained other pilots. Their purpose was to free male pilots for combat roles during World War II. Tragically, 38 WASP members lost their lives during the war. In 1977, the WASPs were granted veteran status and in 2009 awarded the Congressional Gold Medal for their service in World War II.
Welcome back. We would like all of you to join us here at the SitRep in wishing happy birthday to some of America's heroes. First up, we want to say happy birthday to Air Force veteran Isaiah Washington, who was born on August 3rd.
We remember the birthday of Neil Armstrong, a Navy veteran and astronaut who was born on August 3rd.
Happy birthday to Tony Bennett, an Army veteran who was born on August 3rd.
Happy birthday to Navy veteran Robin Quivers, who was born on August 8th.
We want to remember the birthday of Navy veteran Regis Philbin, who was born on August 25th.
And we remember the birthday of Marine Corps veteran and Baseball Hall of Famer Ted Williams, who was born on August 30th.
And last but not least, happy 104th birthday to the United States Marine Corps Reserves.
The Marine Corps Reserve was born on August 29, 1916, in conjunction with the Navy Reserve. Today, it fields more than 40,000 Marine Reserves.
Thank you to everybody out there for joining us for another episode of the Sit Rep. We had the wonderful opportunity of having one of our VA volunteers, Stephen, join us today in the audience here in the studio. So thank you, Stephen, for participating in this.
You're welcome.
To all of you out there watching us on YouTube, you can find more of our content by searching hashtag the Sit Rep, podcast, shorts, clips, all sorts of goodies about the benefits you've earned and deserve.
And as always, to those who have served or are currently serving, thank you for your service.